Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3. Global Wellness Strategies is a prospect generator that provides high-growth companies with financial, operational, and management assistance in the fast-growing market for wellness consumer products. And with me is the CEO and director, Meris Kott. Welcome, Meris.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, great to see you. So tell us a bit about Global Wellness Strategies.
Well, we are a prospect generator, but we're focused in companies that are science-backed and data-driven. You know, we all know that if your mind isn't healthy, even if your body is healthy, it has to fit together. It's almost like a car with the correct petroleum in it. And so what we've decided to do is we've decided to focus on companies that really are discovery companies, more biotech companies, companies that are discovering new drugs, you know, not just the same oils that other people are using and just adding a little bit. And we're now focused more on the clinical study side of the business so that the science behind it is really backed with facts. Mm-hmm. We are 2 years old and we are traded on 3 exchanges. Mm. So we're looking for a global audience for the products of the companies as well. Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that you just made an acquisition in Australia, right? So how did you find this company? What interested you to go all the way to Australia for an acquisition?
You know, the irony is COVID has given us all great opportunities because we're connecting over the computer, like our interview right now, because I'm in Vancouver and you're in, I gather you're based in New York. Mm-hmm. And so one of our investment bankers who had been an initial investor in our company from Peak Asset Management in Australia brought us this company and said, these people are cutting edge. They've done 2 other projects with companies in Canada, one with Valens, an extraction company out of Vancouver. And we looked at what they had, and they were in the psychedelic space, which we all know is an amazing, growing, evolving space right now. But what they had was something that no one else had. They were doing research and development in pain management. Mm. And we just said, you know, that's the basis of a lot of the problems that people have is pain management. And that's the basis of the crisis in the overdose of FDA approved. And that's where we headed with them. And it's just an amazing acquisition for us.
Very interesting. And you're right about the psychedelics. It's a very interesting space right now. So is this Shanti? Tell me about that product. Was this part of this acquisition or is that something else?
No, Shanti is this acquisition. It's called Shanti Therapeutics. Mm. It's part of a cannabis company in Australia called Canvalate. And they believed that their psychedelic research should be in its own entity. So they founded Shanti Therapeutics, and we are acquiring Shanti Therapeutics. It is in the psychedelic space, but it's in the MDMA space. So we're not dealing with psilocybin. We're not dealing with LSD. It's very targeted. The gentleman who founded it is a anesthesiologist, and his partner has done studies on pain, I believe, for the last 2 decades, and is also the medical director of the Swinburne Center for Neuropsychology. So these are actually doctors and researchers who are just taking their research to the next level. Mm-hmm.
And what is their master plan with that research in biotech?
You know, they have a one-line mantra that I'm going to read here. It's pharmaceutical-grade psychedelic solutions to solve unmet medical needs in the field of chronic pain. Okay. They're looking to be the #1 pain management company away from, you know, the current drugs. You know, their main concept here, let me get to one of their main path here is to get to an IND with the FDA, is to do animal studies to start, and then do clinical studies, and then get to the point where they can apply for an IND with the FDA, and the FDA will say, this is going to change pain management. So we've looked around, and through our research have found that they're the only company globally who's really focused taking MDMA and focusing on pain management. They're looking at a pathway of, 3 months for the trial registration, 6 months, 9 months, and a year to get the IND. They're very quick going forward. That was what was exciting to us, that they're not looking at a 3-year path, because they have the connections and they have the strategic alliances.
So what is MDNA?
In layman terms,
Yes.
ecstasy.
Okay.
Ecstasy. It's ironic that in my lifetime, the party drug that people used to take, and I was an athlete. I was a swimmer, so we drank beer. I have to be honest. I wasn't involved in that space at all. The pain medication, a small pain medication, let's just say a Tylenol or an analgesic with MDNA combined, to make it simple, they believe will change the puzzle of pain. They also believe, from a different point of view, that microdosed MDMA in this form can also be the standard preoperative agent before someone goes into an operation to reduce the pain. So they're really looking to change the landscape of how we deal with drugs and pain totally.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting, because maybe there are some components of MDNA that would work with these things, but this will be regulated and it won't be like a party drug. It will be FDA approved.
The minute we talk about it, I have to be honest, everybody talks about the party drugs. And I say, people took ecstasy to calm their nerves. They did it for a specific. The interesting thing for me is the statistics here, which were given to me, that by 2030, they believe that, there'll be revenues of $152 billion in the pain space. And when you ask around, when people talk about things, you say, what's the thing that governs you all day long? And some people who have chronic pain, that's all they have. It's their complete focus. So for me, this is getting involved with a company that can make a change in the mind and body. This is really the mind and body, because if you don't feel the pain in your head, then you don't necessarily, people claim that if your mind is away from the pain, you don't feel it. There's a started in the 60s, and we're 50 years and we're still trying to solve the puzzle of pain. So it's very exciting for me to align our company with something that's really going to change. Going to change us. And
it feels like the time is right for these kind of things. Like there's a lot of research and things going on. So let's talk about your other brand, KaleidoMyco. So give us a short synopsis of what that is.
KaleidoMyco is a little company that we got involved in. It's not our main focus, but we're still involved with KaleidoMyco. They're based out of Washington State, and they are in the microdosing space, not in psilocybin. They've created formulas that is organic functional mushrooms. They call them functional mushrooms with CBD and CBN and CBG. The first product they're launching is called their Fizz tablet. It's an effervescent that combines cordyceps with CBD. There's 50 milligrams of CBD, 50 milligrams of cordyceps, and then there is caffeine. There's 25 milligrams. They call it their Energizer effervescent. We're also looking to do studies with the CBD and the organic mushrooms. They're looking to file a patent for the formula as well. They have 2 more. This one is more of a citrus. The woman who runs it has a processing company where she produces for many companies globally, white label. She's GMP compliant, but not a GMP facility, because we all know CBD can't have a GMP facility yet, because it's not a regulated drug. And they're looking to go into revenues next month. So for us, it's a small revenue kicker on the side. One thing I want to add with Shanti that makes them different is they also have a methods patent. So they're a little different than a lot of the psychedelics. We're looking right now for companies that have the ability to have patented drugs, because we think going forward, after what we've seen in cannabis and CBD, that having that patent or that methods patent or the formula really changes the landscape of the company. Where a lot of people always, you've been in this industry a long time, where a lot of people came out with oils and drugs. At the end of the day, you want yours to be special and you want yours to be protected.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So now you mentioned earlier you're on 3 exchanges. So what are those exchanges? Do you have any plans to raise capital or uplist, or like what's the financial part? Tell me about that.
We've had the conversation, you and I, today. The goal is always to uplist. Everybody wants to uplist. I have spent, now I'm going to age myself. So I've spent 35 years living in Florida, working with the OTC markets, working with the NASDAQ, working with the New York Stock Exchange. Our dream is always to uplist to the NASDAQ or to the New York Stock Exchange. Companies like MindMed are leading the way, which are basically very science-backed, data-driven medical, similar to our company. I mean, they've got a $3.1 billion valuation, and we have a $4 million valuation, in the US. We're on the QB. I love the QB. I think the QB is a great springboard. Many of our investors are presently excited that we're in the US market because we're looking to do an IND file to the FDA. The CSE, the CSE brought us public. And so we have a huge allegiance to them. This last week, the CSE was happy to announce they had 700 clients and issuers. So it's very exciting. And the German market is from the point of view of the Europeans are a little ahead of us medically, because they've only approved medical cannabis or medical microdosing. So for us, it's across 3 exchanges. It's really important. We're currently doing a raise of 3 million Canadian, 3 million Canadian. It's an 18-cent unit with a 30-cent warrant. We've extended it for 3 years. We think that we're almost 70% full, with 70%, the book says we're almost 70% full, but we're always looking to raise money. In this industry, especially in biotech, which I consider us more focused, you have to keep raising money because there's a new study and a new study. And, for me, this is the 2 companies we have are about, it's not about competing with other people. The market's there for us. It's about bringing new drugs or basically new drugs and new combinations to the market to change our wellness. It's interesting when I see at the bottom of many companies, we're a global wellness company. And I laugh because when we decided to use the word global wellness strategies, people said to me, "Oh my God, that's so like bizarre. Why would we want to use global wellness?" And we're hoping that we were ahead with the name and that we're ahead with our products.
Okay. Well, it's a very interesting company and very interesting space. I first started hearing about psilocybin a couple of years ago with treatment of depression, and it's just very interesting, some of the research going on. So thank you so much, Meris, for coming and telling us about the company, and best of luck. And I look forward to our future conversations.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.